Chapter 14. Into the Great Wide Open. The hum of the bus engine melded with the occasional murmur of conversations, creating a soundtrack to the passing landscapes. As we neared Kingston, Terry's demeanour shifted. He began to hum a tune, one that seemed too upbeat for our mundane surroundings. I watched him, curiosity piqued by this sudden change. "Got a favourite song stuck in your head?" I asked, trying to make sense of his cheerfulness. Terry grinned, his eyes twinkling with a mischief I'd come to recognise. "Oh, you could say that. It's more about where we're headed than the tune itself," he replied, his gaze drifting back to the windows as signs for Kingston became more frequent. I followed his gaze, noting the Kingston signs with growing confusion. "I thought we were headed to New York, not stopping here," I said, the pieces not quite fitting together in my mind. "That's the beauty of not being bound by a schedule, my friend. We're making a little detour," Terry announced, standing up as the bus signalled its approach to a stop. "A detour?" I echoed, my voice laced with surprise and a hint of concern. "What's in Kingston that's got you all excited?" "You'll see," was all he offered, accompanied by a wink that did nothing to quell my burgeoning curiosity and slight apprehension. As the bus rolled to a stop, Terry was already up and making his way to the exit, a spring in his step that belied his usual calm demeanour. I hurried to catch up, following him in a rush off the bus, still trying to piece together his plan. Once off the bus, the cool air of Kingston greeted us, a sharp contrast to the bus's stale atmosphere. "So, why are we here?" I pressed, seeking clarity. Terry simply set off at a brisk pace, prompting me to quicken my step to keep up. "Trust me, it's going to be worth it," he called over his shoulder, his tone brimming with confidence and a hint of secrecy. As we moved further from the bus stop, Terry's energy was infectious, even as my mind raced with questions. His ability to embrace the moment, to find adventure in the unexpected, was something I admired, even if it left me slightly disoriented. This detour, whatever it entailed, was another chapter in our unconventional journey, one that promised new insights into my enigmatic companion. Terry set a brisk pace that left me slightly winded, trying to keep up. There was a surprising spring in his step, as if his first and last heart attack hadn't slowed him down, but instead added a new gear never before seen. Catching my breath, I couldn't help but tease him. "For someone who's had a heart attack, you're moving like it was just a minor inconvenience. What's the secret, Terry? You trying to outrun your own shadow?" He laughed, not missing a beat. "Bad little episode? Just a gentle reminder to keep moving, nothing more. Plus, I can't have you thinking you're keeping up with me just because of a technicality. Age and experience, my friend, they come with their own set of perks." The back and forth between us felt natural, the kind of ribbing you'd expect from friends who'd known each other longer than we had. Terry's dismissal of his heart attack, turning it into a mere footnote in his life, somehow made me respect the guy even more. His determination to keep pushing forward, despite what he'd been through, was both admirable and a bit daunting. As the day gave way to night, our surroundings took on a different character. The air grew cooler, carrying the crisp scent of the countryside after sundown. Sounds of nocturnal wildlife began to emerge. A symphony of crickets and the distant call of owls replaced the silence of the day. The sky, a canvas of deep blues and purples, gradually filled with the glitter of stars, each one a reminder of the vastness above us. Terry, ever the night owl, seemed to come alive with the setting sun. With a reflective glance towards the starlit sky, he shared, "You know, there is a certain magic to the night that the day just can't match. It's in the quiet, the stillness, where you find that peace that seems to elude us during the daylight hustle. It's like the world takes a deep breath, and for a moment, everything's as it should be." I found myself drawn into the moment, the beauty of the night sky and the calm it brought. It was a side of Terry I hadn't fully appreciated until then. His ability to find wonder in the simple things. "Yeah, I see what you mean," I admitted, my gaze still fixed on the heavens. "It's like the world slows down enough for you to catch up with it." Terry nodded, a smile playing on his lips. "Exactly. Most people rush through life, never stopping to look up. But the night, it has a way of making you pause, making you realize there's so much more out there." As we resumed our journey, the darkness around us felt less daunting, more a companion on our path. Terry's fondness for the night, his moment of reflection, had somehow brought us closer, a shared experience in the quiet of the countryside. As we trekked deeper into the journey, the strain of the extended walk began to show. The landscape around us, a tapestry of changing colours and textures, offered a distraction from the physical exertion. Terry, with his seemingly endless energy, pushed us forward with stories from his past, each tale more fascinating than the last. His life, a mix of adventure and misadventure, unfolded with each step we took. Our conversations delved into the realms of dreams deferred, paths not taken, and the philosophical musings that come with the territory of being, well, no longer among the living. It was during these moments, punctuated by shared laughter and the occasional pause to catch what breath we could, that I found a deeper connection with Terry. He was no longer just a guide on this bizarre journey. He had become a trusted friend. The humour we found in our situation acted as a balm, easing the weariness of our bodies and the uncertainty of our path. Terry's quips about his heart attack. A heart attack thought it could take me out of the race, but here I am, giving these youngsters a run for their money, reminded me of the resilience and spirit that defined him. It was this resilience that seemed to propel him forward, an invisible journey that matched the vigour of his personality. As day bled into night, and then back into day, the beauty of our surroundings took on a new dimension. The early morning light filtering through the trees, the dew on the grass, and the silence that enveloped us was almost sacred. It was in these moments, amidst the beauty of a world waking up, that we found a semblance of peace. As dusk turned to nightfall on our seemingly endless trek, Terry suddenly veered off the main path, guiding us up a neglected driveway. What lay ahead was a vision of faded elegance and whispered histories. The Adler Hotel. A grand structure that now sagged under the weight of time and neglect. Its once manicured grounds, now a wild tapestry of overgrowth, hinted at lost grandeur. A silent testament to nature's reclaiming hand. The once bustling hub of activity and laughter had quieted into a sombre stillness, with the Adler standing as a stark reminder of transient glories. It was as if each crack in the paint, each vine creeping through the brickwork, told a story of days filled with sunshine and nights aglow with festivity, now just echoes in the corridors of time. Terry paused, a mix of reverence and mischief in his eyes, as he gestured towards a dilapidated yet dignified facade. "Behold," he announced, with a flourish that seemed to borrow from the theatrical, "our next adventure." Despite the building's obvious decline, there was an undeniable allure to it, a pull towards the mysteries it housed, veiled in the shadows of its past. The Adler's imposing entrance, with doors that seemed to hesitate on their hinges, invited us into its embrace. A challenge whispered on the wind. It was a moment suspended between the thrill of discovery and the reverence for what was, a bridge between the past grandeur and the present's curiosity. As we stood before the hotel, the weight of its history pressed against us, a tangible reminder of all that had transpired within its walls. The Adler, in its majestic ruin, was not just a place, but a portal to untold stories, waiting for us to uncover them. Terry's presentation of the hotel, dramatic and tinged with humour, perfectly encapsulated our journey's essence, a quest for meaning amidst the remnants of what was once magnificent. This was more than a detour. It was a step into a narrative woven from the threads of countless lives and memories, a chance to explore the depth of our own existence through the lens of the Adler's storied past. As we crossed the threshold, the adventure that awaited us promised not just a physical exploration, but an introspective journey through the echoes of time, where every hallway and silent room held the potential to reveal secrets long buried under the dust of ages. Chapter 15. But you can never leave. Terry led the way with a confident stride, approaching the Adler Hotel's front door, which was visibly chained up and locked, suggesting years of neglect. The sight raised a question mark in my mind, but Terry, undeterred, reached for the handle. With a theatrical tug, a second door, a gentle whisper of the first, swung open, as if the physical barriers of the world no longer applied to us. "After you," Terry said with a wink, that suggested we were about to step into a world unlike any I'd imagined. Deciding that my friend and travelling companion wasn't setting me up for a fall, I stepped through the doorway and felt like I'd crossed into a parallel universe. The lobby of the Adler Hotel unfolded before us, alive with the echoes of its past grandeur. Light bathed the space, a piano played somewhere in the background, and the air was filled with the buzz of conversations and laughter. It was a shocking contrast to the silent, decaying exterior. Well, this is unexpected, I mused, taking in the vibrant scene. It's got more buzz than any room I've ever been in, and we're all bloody dead. Terry's explanation came as I absorbed the lively scene around us. This is like the diner. It has its own echo, its own soul. The decay outside, it doesn't touch this place. Here, the nudge doesn't compel us to go elsewhere. It's a haven for spirits. The hotel, with its staff and guests moving about, felt like a sanctuary where the rules of the spectral world were rewritten. This place reminds me of somewhere I saw in the movies, I said. The Grand Budapest Hotel, chimed in Terry, a twinkle in his eye betraying his amusement at the comparison. I stopped in my tracks, a chuckle escaping me despite the surreal surroundings. Hold on, Terry. That film came out long after you'd, moved on. How are you keeping up with films in the afterlife? Terry chuckled, his eyes glinting with a mix of mischief and insight. Oh, the things you overhear around here. It's like our own little soap opera. The afterlife's full of surprises. Between the constant influx of movie buffs and the endless chit-chat about the latest blockbusters, it's like we've got our own cinema club. Keeps things lively, that's for sure. You wouldn't believe the debates we've had over Best Picture winner. His answer, delivered with a casual ease, somehow made the Adler Hotel feel even more out of time. A place where the past and present mingled freely, and even a spirit from decades ago could stay up to date with the latest in pop culture. It was another piece of the puzzle that was Terry, adding depth to the enigma of my spectral guide. Checking in at the front desk, we were greeted by a portly man in a crisp uniform who seemed to have stepped out of another era. "Gentlemen, may I offer you rooms?" he asked, as if it were the most natural question in the world. Terry requested 2 adjoining rooms, and keys were handed over with a flourish. A bellboy, called to guide us to our rooms, gave us a nod, understanding immediately that we had no luggage to speak of. The hotel operated as if it were still in its heyday, a well-oiled machine attended by staff who had likely spent their lives here before passing on. Terry explained that many had been so committed to their roles here that they returned post-mortem. In fact, so many had returned that they were now forced to work in shifts. Eternal employment, then? I mused, my humour finding its way even here in the midst of luxury and timelessness. Our rooms, accessed via an old-fashioned elevator ride, were the epitome of luxury, untouched by time or decay. I found that if I focused too hard, I could see the illusion for what it was, the decay and the neglect. But why spoil the magic? "Seems we've lucked out in the afterlife accommodations department," I remarked to Terry, who chuckled in agreement. As we settled in, the comfort and opulence of the Adler Hotel enveloped me, vividly reminding me of the pleasures of life I thought were behind me. "Thank you, Terry," I said, sincerely grateful for this unexpected luxury. Who knew the afterlife came with room service? This moment in the Adler Hotel, amidst the laughter and the light, felt like a gift. It was a pause in our journey, a reminder that even in the afterlife there are places where joy, luxury and friendship can thrive. And as I looked out of my room's window, squinting just enough to maintain the illusion, I couldn't help but feel thankful for this unique respite on our journey. This moment of tranquility in the Adler Hotel, this unexpected interlude in our spectral journey, offered a chance to ponder the day's revelations and the myriad encounters that had led me here. The laughter and light that filled the hotel's halls, and the warmth of the friendship I found with Terry, served as poignant reminders of the life-affirming experiences still possible, even after death. Retreating to the solitude of my room, the opulence around me felt both out of place and entirely fitting. A luxury I never expected to enjoy again. The bed, a centrepiece of this lavish room, called to me. A soft, inviting promise of rest I hadn't realised I'd yearned for. Despite the knowledge that sleep was no longer a necessity in my new existence, The familiar comfort of a bed's embrace was irresistible. Laying down, I stared at the ceiling, a masterpiece of craftsmanship from a bygone era, allowing the events of the day to replay in my mind. The vibrant atmosphere of the Adler, a stark contrast to the decay outside its walls, mirrored the complexities of my own journey from life into this spectral existence. It was here, in this hotel suspended in time, that I found a semblance of peace I hadn't known I was seeking. The gentle rustle of the luxurious sheets as I settled in reminded me of a life once lived, a life filled with the simple pleasures and comforts I'd taken for granted. As I lay there, enveloped in the softness of the bed, a sense of weariness I hadn't felt since my transition into the afterlife began to wash over me. It was an odd sensation, this mimicry of fatigue, but it brought with it a comforting familiarity. In the silence of the room, with the faint sounds of the hotel's eternal guests in the distance, I found myself drifting. It wasn't sleep, not as I knew it, but a gentle drifting into a state of restful contemplation. Here, in the unexpected sanctuary of the Adler Hotel, I allowed myself to succumb to this imitation of sleep, a luxury I thought I'd lost along with my mortality. As the imagined weight of my eyelids became too heavy to resist, I surrendered to the experience, a smile tugging at the corners of my mouth. Perhaps in the afterlife there were still new experiences to be had, new comforts to discover, and, as I drifted off, it was with a heart lighter than it had been since my spectral journey began. Filled with gratitude for the unexpected moments of joy and connection that continued to define my existence.